The laws of success and power. Hello, hello, hello. Today we are diving into, let me open this up. So, today we're diving into the fourth and last part of the abundance series. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Joanna Fatonji, and this is Healing into Femininity, aka Healing into Power, Privilege, Success, Progress, all of the things that actually help us to create a life that we truly love living. So, we are diving into how to align with the laws of success and power, abundance and privilege. And we're diving into first the question of if you are really ready to live this life, if you're really about that life, right? Because people always say they want more, they complain, and then they say I would love something else, but they never take action. True action is about getting into the rooms, right? Working with a mentor. I would say working with a mentor who understands you, who knows your life, your reality, how to move through this life as a woman or as a woman of color is the surest way for you to get there too. Yeah. So the first question you have to ask yourself is, am I really ready to live an abundant life? Because there comes things with that, right? It's about discipline. It's about doing the things that you love doing, but you don't love to do them every day, right? But if you say you're committed to this life, you want to say yes, right? Because when we are in harmony with these laws of the universe, life gets easier. Not necessarily easy in terms of so relaxed all the time, but it gets easier because you now know that there is, I always like to say, there is nothing outside of you that is going to come to rescue you. There is no fantasy, no illusion, no shiny object. But once you know that there is nothing outside of you that is really worth seeking, but you are the progress, you are the work in progress. Everything you desire is inside of you. And that is what I mean by it gets easier, because now you know you have to do the work. And now you know that it is up to you to keep showing up for what it is that you say you want. And you make it a habit, and you create systems, and you create routines around what it is that you're working on, whether it is about your health, your relationships, your career, and your money. It is systems that run in place in order for you to create the results that you desire. And that is what makes it easier, right? And in this lesson, we'll consider these ways of living in law in alignment with power and privilege. Okay, so learning to live in harmony with your soul's purpose, love, or learning to set your intentions by where you put your attention, right? Learning to listen to your intuition, learning to live in the now. Ooh, that's a big one. Learning to live in the now, learning to live in gratitude now, right? Learning to live in harmony with your soul's purpose. Number one is, how do I feel when I am in harmony with my soul's purpose? How do I live? Ooh, how do I live when I am in harmony? I have my phone over here. I just wanted to go live on Instagram as well. So, yeah, that's why I'm looking over here. But learning how to set your intention by where you put your intention. Learning to set your intention by where you place your attention, right? Your intention is where you put your attention, and where attention goes, energy flows. This is where you put your feet where your mouth is. You walk the talk, right? Your intention and your attention and your focus and you action and your action moving towards it, right? We learn to listen to our intuition, learn to live in the now, and learn to live in gratitude. Yeah. So to make it a little bit more tangible, what is your soul's purpose? Number one, your soul's purpose, like as a very general thing is growth and expansion. We incarnate into this world, we come onto this prison planet, and most of us, we live in some kind of level of oppression, of poverty, of slavery. I know it sounds harsh, but that's true. And we learn through our evolution to liberate ourselves from also patriarchal standards, uh, capitalistic norms, and racism, right? Those three things are the power hierarchy of the system, where we have been indoctrinated that this is the way it is, and that you as a woman, or especially as a woman of color, that you are at the bottom, which is not true, right? That is the three man made power hierarchies. That is the water that we swim in. This is the unconscious biases of most people, right? Whether black or white or Asian or Indian or Pakistani or whatever. Like, most people have those assumptions about life. And that's why they think that those things are true and are in place. You understand? So we want to learn to grow and to free ourselves of those constrictions of people saying you're not enough, you can't do this, you can't reach the top, you can't be a global leader, you can't be a business leader, you can't have your own successful company, you can't do that, right? But that's wrong, right? Because I'm a coach for leaders in business and in corporate, and that's what we're doing. So your purpose is to become your greatest version in a very practical sense. Okay. So learning to live in harmony with your soul's purpose is also about learning and tuning into yourself and learning to feel that you can do it, and then have a clear vision. What is it that you want to do? What do you want to change? I always like to say, what do you want to change? What narrative do you want to change? What industry do you want to change? Right? What power dynamic do you want to change? All of that. Where do you want to be represented, in which rooms, in which industries? Have a clear vision, a very tangible vision, and this comes from your life experience, right? Where have you felt constricted? Right? Because children, and I remember that about me, children always think the world belongs to them, right? Until then, there are a few limitations, and then there is a glass ceiling, and then people tell you you can't do this, and you grow further and further. This was it for me. Like, I always knew I belonged at the top. So I didn't listen to nobody. I was very stubborn, and I thought I can do it. So I climbed the hierarchy. I studied, then I went into corporate, then I started my own business, right? And now it's about expanding the same thing, right? Expanding women in leadership, expanding women of color in leadership, expanding women stepping on social media and making a business out of it. Share your expertise and become known for it, become seen for it, become visible, become known, and then monetize it. Right? That is what my soul purpose is all about. Representation of Black and brown and women of color leaders in the global space. Okay, so what is your soul's purpose? Right? So have a clear vision about that. And when you are in touch with your soul's purpose, you feel more alive. And this is what I mean by life gets easier, because you all of a sudden find a reason for being. Because I have to be honest, this world can be a very, very dark place. The more we know, especially the more we know about racism, about capitalism, about patriarchy, and know what damages it creates, the more we can get frustrated and maybe depressed. But when you find the power in you to say, I have a voice and I'm going to use it, I am going to speak. Right? I'm going to speak about my story, about my liberation, about what I have learned. Yeah, I'm going to share it with others. I'm going to create a business around it. I am going to create change. This is when you feel like your life has purpose. I say it's not a luxury, it is a matter of survival and a ladder to thrive. Okay, so very, very important that you have a clear vision. What do you want to change? And most of the time, what you want to change is alchemizing what has brought you the biggest pain. What has brought you the biggest pain in your life? And most of the time, again, it is racism, people underestimating you. It is patriarchy, people violating you or underestimating you because you are a woman, or men violating you because you are a woman, right? Or people violating you, underestimating you, and taking advantage of you, maybe because of your financial position, right? That's why I am all for women making money, right? You have to make money to protect yourself in the system. Okay. So again, it's about you really looking at your life, at your history, and definitely also looking at the painful moments, because real transformation, real change comes through looking at the painful situations and then transforming it into finding your voice, finding power, and creating business acumen, right? So you can actually empower yourself financially with sharing your voice, right? Sharing your whatever it is that you want to represent. Good. Okay. So when you're in touch with that, life becomes easier because you have the energy to go for it. And most likely you are also fed up with the rest. Like you're done. Like you no longer fall for the fairy tale. You no longer fall for the blah blah. Right? You no longer fall for the illusion, for the fantasy. As I said, there is nothing outside of you that will actually create the life experience that you truly desire to feel, because it's internal. Okay. So when you're out of touch with that, this is when you feel worried. This is when you feel anxious. This is when you feel paralyzed, right? This is when you feel powerless. And so you want to ask yourself, what makes you feel more alive? What makes you feel more alive? I always like to say my sessions here are workshops, master classes. This is not just for entertainment. Sure, you can listen to it in the background while you're cooking, while you're cleaning, while you're walking, whatever. You can definitely do that, but you will get the most out of this when you are. When you're using it, right? When you're doing it, when you are putting pen to paper, and when you ask yourself, what makes me feel more alive? Right? Learning to set your intention by where you place your attention, right? Intention is where you place your attention. The universe reads our intention by where you place your attention. Learning to think differently, right? Many of us were taught patterns of thinking that lead to contraction and struggle, like no pain, no gain, right? It has to be hard, right? It has to be hard. I have to struggle. I have to suffer. I have to like deprive myself of joy in order to be worthy to create something. But this doesn't lead you anywhere. This is oppressed mindset thinking. This is for the poor. This is for the struggling. This is for the oppressed, right? If you want to be rich, if you want to create success, power, privilege, this is when you want to get into a flow of, I deserve to feel good, right? God is feeling good. God is pleasure. God is sensuality. God is the navigating system inside of your body, making you feel safe, making you feel good. And this is what you need to protect by all means necessary, right? So these ideas of no pain, no gain, struggling, suffering, being the servant, being the good girl, having no boundaries, doing everything for everyone else without you ever getting anything back. This is slave mentality. Okay, this is slave mentality. This is servant mindset. This is you being exploited. Okay, so these were inherited depending on where you come from. When you come from a working class, when you come from poverty, this is what you inherit. This is not what we are here to continue. Like, this is breaking generational curses. We didn't know any different, so don't feel ashamed. No shame, no condemnation, right? That's okay if you have thought that way, but that's not your true purpose, right? That is a scam. Okay, this is when you think like that, this is what makes you exploitable. And we're here to engage in trade and fair trade, and not to have no boundaries and no agency and no defense mechanisms, right? So we learned that when we were kids. So the people around us maybe believed that that was true. But again, that's poor mindset, that's poverty mindset, that's being exploited, this is being taken advantage of. No, right? This is a way of thinking that produces an experience, but an experience of lack, of lack of limitation. No, that's not what we are here for. So ask yourself, how can I expand my thinking to be more in line with what I know to be true about the universe? And what you know now about the universe is abundance, right? The true laws of the universe is growth, growing into more personal power, into more privilege, into more progress. It's to grow, it's to expand, it's to evolve, it's to become greater, right? It's to yeah, all of that. It's to feel better about yourself, and it's to become more capable, right? To use your voice, to be more articulate, to say what it is that you want to articulate, to communicate clearly, to communicate in a way that people want to listen to you, that they understand you, that they are influenced by you, that they take action on your behalf or on their own best behalf. Right? It's to learn to negotiate. It's to understand your value and your boundary. So you want to negotiate in order to create a win-win situation, right? Those are things that you want to learn. And those are the things that you want to learn. Okay, so very important. You hold power, you hold value. And learning to ask bigger questions is also about cultivating a privileged mindset, cultivating a power mindset, right? Most of us ask small questions. So we forget to ask the big ones. And small questions are like, how can I take 2 weeks off without losing any pay? Right? Or how can I take, or you could ask a powerful question, how can I travel somewhere, right, to Oman and make 20,000 euros or 100,000 euros or 200,000 euros or 500,000 doing that, right? If you ask the second question, you are creating an experience for yourself and others. And help other people invest in themselves, right? So that is how you learn to switch from a working class mindset, from a oppressed mindset, from a victim mindset to a dominating mindset, right? To be a creator, to create experiences, to create value for others, right? So whichever question you get interested in will be the one that you attract the ideas, the people, the solutions, the resources for. Whatever you put your attention on is going to create a magnetic field around you. That is the law of attraction, and we want to use it precisely, right? We want to use the way the mind and the universe works in our favor. And this is how we become even more powerful in creating experiences that are of value to yourself and others. The next thing is learning to pay attention to what you're paying attention to. As I said, whatever you get really interested in is what you start attracting your ideas to, right? Your ideas, places, people, opportunities, resources, whatever you focus on. That's why it's important to focus on things for a longer time. And right now, in this day and age of social media, most of the time, people who are consumers, who only consume without ever taking action, are distracted. And it's an addiction for most of us, right? It is hard because there's so much going on and we want to tap into it. It gives us a quick dopamine hit, but this is not what we came here for. We want to experience our own power, right? So we really want to take hold of our attention. We are, some people call it the attention economy, right? Because where the attention is, this is where the energy goes, this is where the money goes. So become a producer, right? So whatever you really, really want, you choose the frequency of that. You choose the frequency of thinking. You choose the frequency of your emotions, right? Your emotional involvement into something. This is the same thing again, going back to media. There's always sensations. That's why I am not at all a big fan of creating also sensationalized content, even though, of course, I want the attention on me because I know that my stuff here is powerful and it's going to help you create the life that you desire. But many people, or especially the media, PR, like big media, and also social media, they create sucking into attention by sensationalizing things, and then you, as a consumer, you get hooked into that pendulum and you get emotionally involved, and that can create fear, doubt, scarcity, like a doom and gloom, Armageddon type of energy. And then your attention goes there, your emotion go there, and this is what you're going to create. You're going to be sucked dry, right? By where you put your attention. So very, very important that you focus on you and on creating good things, that you create solutions, that you create conversations, that you create spaces, communities really about empowerment, about creating other leaders, about other people who have agency, about other people who know that they can create things. That's exactly what we're doing here. You creating the life you desire, the business, the career you desire by getting and tapping into your personal power. Okay, good. So ask yourself, where am I placing my attention? What how can I shift that? Do I want to make any shifts? Where is my attention? Is your attention scattered all over the place, right? Or are you focused? Are you focused on yourself, your career, your health, your body, the relationship with your loved ones, right? Are you intentional about what gets to be in your space, especially your mind space, right? Because what you let in your mind is going to reproduce after its kind, right? Don't let your mind be hijacked. You decide where your mind is going. Okay. So there are many, many examples about that, but I want to go deeper into the next point, learning to listen to the infinite broadcast of spirit. Yeah, learning to listen to your intuition. Your intuition is the receiving station, but there is always an infinite broadcast of spirit that is spirit. I would say is a positive force, right? When I speak about spirit, it's life, it's life force, it's upward, it's not decay, it's not doom and gloom, it's not the Armageddon. It is really about growth, it is about evolution, right? There is an infinite broadcast of spirit that is omnipresent, it's everywhere. And this is how you found this video. It's about you picking up on the solutions that you're looking for. And our work is to learn how to tune into that inner, into the ear of that broadcast, right? That where can I grow? The broadcast is eternally playing. And if we ask the right questions, and if we're really interested and we fall in love with it, we will be able to hear in a way that we can understand, right? So if you found this video and you're here, you were drawn into this channel by my language, by my energy, by my frequency, right? The way I speak, the way I come across, because everyone has a different receiving station, right? Some people like to listen to other types of content or another teacher of the same message, but this is everyone has a receiving station to that energy. Okay, and this broadcast is always whispering to us that you are more than you think you are. And this is also what I'm here to tell you. Yeah, to tell you and to teach, to get out of the victim mindset, to get out of the shame, to get out of the blame, out of the old story, out of the victim prey mindset, out of you, oh my God, I'm so sad or whatever. Get out of that and come into the stream of my content, my communities, my work, my programs of growing into more and more health, vitality, beauty, relationship skills, right? Communication skills, growing your business, all of that. It's an upstream. Okay, very, very important. So, another thing, again, this is not just listening to me, but I'm going to throw it back at you. Ask yourself, what is the infinite broadcast of spirit whispering to you, right? What are you like? What are you attuned to? What is calling you? That's literally what it is. What is calling you? What is calling you? What do you want to do? What do you want to Where do you want to grow? Where do you want to sharpen your skills? What is it that you want to do? Do you want to create your own business? Do you want to be on social media? Do you want to, what is it that you are feeling inside of you that you want to create? Right? Very, very important. Mm. So, learning to live in gratitude, right? Oh no, the first thing is now learning to live in the now. Learning to live in the now. People usually live in one of those three tenses: past tense, which is shame or pride, right? When we think about our past, it's either looking at the successes or at the failures. So either we're proud or we are ashamed. When we live in the future, most of the time it's ambition or it's fear, right? We feel like we don't have the skills, don't have the beliefs, the skills to actually create. So we live in fear. Or when we feel like we have what it takes, we have ambition and we want to run, right? We want to go. It's also like leaving the now. Then the present is either being embarrassed or being vain. It's also about your ego, right? Like either you're like embarrassed about how you look or what you've created so far, or you are vain. You're like, oh, I look so good, or I have created this amazing life. None of that is the true now. The now is different. The now is timeless. The now is also where abundance is. It's a timeless dimension. It's simply being, and open yourself up to channel more of that infinite energy, abundance. Yeah. So very, very subtle. Shame or pride in the past, ambition or fear in the future, embarrassment or vanity in the present, or you're living in the now, which it opens you up to be a channel of yourself, of goodness, of evolution, of creating solutions, of love, of wisdom, all of that. That is the now. It's a timeless dimension. Yeah. So ask yourself again, how can I live more in the timeless dimension of the now? Answer that for yourself, right? So, the next thing and the last thing for today is learning to live in gratitude. It's interwoven with now. Gratitude is a tuning device for greater flow. Again, the now is being in flow, and gratitude is another layer of frequency being in flow. There are three different types of gratitude. We can be grateful for things, which is perfect, right? Grateful for your home, grateful for a roof over your head, grateful for the warm shower, right? Grateful for your family, for your health, for your dog, or whatever. You can be grateful in, right? You can also be grateful in whatever experience you are in right now that brings awareness and a new perception. Even if you are in a, let's say, a horrible situation right now, right? You don't feel good in your body. You don't feel good at all in your relationship or relationships, you don't feel good in your job, you don't feel good in your financial situation, but you realize that you're alive. That's what I say. Like, you realize that you are still alive. You can notice what you're noticing. And when you notice what you're noticing, you are in your awareness. You are alive. Your awareness is your aliveness. You're noticing that you don't feel good in your body. You notice that you don't feel good in your relationship. You notice that you don't feel good in your job or your career. You notice that you don't feel good about your time and money freedom. That is also power. And therefore, we can be grateful because once we notice it, even though it's not optimal, we can then change it. Only then, only when we learn to notice it and be grateful to be able to notice it means you're still alive and there's still an opportunity for you to change whatever circumstance you are in. Right? So the frequency of gratitude is aligned with the frequency of abundance. Gratitude, the now, is abundance. So we want to get in a state of abundance, into a state of now, into a state of gratitude as much as possible. So again, ask yourself, how can I learn to live more in gratitude? Yeah. So, very, very, very important, right? So, being in harmony with the laws of success and power is being in harmony with life itself. What steps can you take to be in alignment with life itself, right? Think, feel, do things, right? How to be more. It all starts with being. Being, I would also say, being is also in alignment with abundance, with the now, and with gratitude. It's about being. It's about doing things from a state of being, from a state of being in the now, from a state of gratitude, from a state of abundance, right? You are abundance. You just emanate it out. You ripple it out by your voice. That is how you get in the law into the stream of power, right? And then we create the systems around it so that power can come back to us to receive, so we can receive. Because again, abundance is about circulation. It's about giving and taking, giving and receiving, giving and receiving, giving and receiving. Yeah. So giving and receiving, circulate, right? Clear out all the things that you no longer need that are not in alignment with gratitude, with abundance, with being in the now, and with the laws of the universe, right? What can you clear out in your life? Mindsets, feelings, low vibrational feelings. You can clear out maybe people that are not in harmony with your self esteem, that are not in harmony with your self love, people who depreciate you, who don't value you. You have to clear them out. Yeah. And the same thing about things that you pay for, right? Things that are not really in alignment with what it is that you truly need and want, right? You have to always, I always like to call it hygiene. You have to do the hygiene. You have to do the hygiene, right? Hygiene is about clearing, 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 clearing. So only the most beautiful things remain about you, about your relationships, and then you have a refined life. I always like to say abundance is also about refinement. It's not necessarily about masses of masses of masses of things, because who wants that? Because most of the time, what is for the masses is trash, right? And the same thing, like precious things are rare. So other precious people are rare. Other precious things are quite rare, right? And the greatest abundance is in the feeling, and it's in spaciousness. It's not in tightness. It's not about hoarding. It's about having the right things, Okay, so that's it for today. And again, I always like to say a person of abundance, a person of increase takes action. A person of increase takes action. A person of increase works with a mentor, with a guide, with a coach who can get you there faster. Right? Create aligned success. That's the motto of this channel. So, if you are in corporate, if you are in leadership, if you are wanting to create a business from your expertise, from your knowledge, from your wisdom, from your education, from your job experience, from your personal experience, from your biggest pain. Let me support you in that. Get into the school community and become part of an amazing group of women who are all dedicated to their success and their power and their growth and their privilege. And if you feel ready to truly dive really deep with me, apply for the next Life Mastery cohort or apply to work with me one on one. Okay, so these are the options. Click the links in the description box down below. Take charge. Don't waste time. Time is of the essence because life is running out. Okay, so I'm looking forward to see you. Until then, take charge. Bye bye.